Welcome to Sagittarius Solar Festival webinar. It's a very special time as we gather today under the energies of the Sagittarius, the sign of direction, the sign of inspiration. And today our webinar will summarize the work that many of us were involved in preparation for this full moon. A few weeks ago, the coordination group of the 2025 initiative sent out a call to you to join a subjective retreat meditating on the purpose and the goal as it's reflected through the work that we are all involved into. I want to express our gratitude to all of you who joined the meditation and shared your impressions. And today, at this gathering on this mountain plateau that we visualized in our line, we will try to summarize and share those impressions about the work ahead of us. A very special time for humanity, and there is a special responsibility for all men and women around the world who are sensitive to the impressions of the plan, and all of us responsible to find that reflection of the plan as it can be and be manifested through our work, through our individual and group, many group projects around the world. A few days ago, we had on the first day of this full moon, another meeting, which was an experiment, which we suggested to participate for all our presenters, whoever focalized the full moon webinars, inviting them to come together in a circle and share their vision of the plan, share their impressions from their meditation on what are the goals for evolution of humanity. What are the next steps that humanity should take towards achieving those goals? And what are our tasks as esoteric groups and individuals working with the occult meditation and the knowledge of traditions? What is our responsibility and what is our role to play with? And it was a very interesting meeting, and the recording of this meeting will be available on our website. And today we asked 3 of the presenters who participated in this meeting to share their impressions of what are the most important ideas that were shared at that meeting and that resonated with them about the next steps in our work. That we will have a presentation by Antonella Nobilo from Italy, sharing their vision of the plan as it been developed by a project that she's been working with. And after that, we will open the floor to impressions from the audience, asking for your thoughts and impressions about the plan for the new city of humanity, the vision for the plan. And at the end, we'll have a full moon meditation. So this is my little bit longer than usual introduction to our work today. Thank you very much for joining today to this work. And with this, I want to invite to share the impressions, 3 speakers, Lorraine Flower from London, United Kingdom, Martin Dizer from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Anastasia Smirnova from Moscow, Russia. And we didn't agree in advance who will start first, but maybe we can start in that sequence as I named you. So maybe Lorraine, you could start your sharing.
Thank you, Alexander. Good evening, good morning. Hello to everybody, dear friends. This feels like a responsibility and a privilege, so thank you for listening to my distillation of what we discussed on Sunday and how that's resonated with me. Hopefully this will come across as clear and succinct. We only have a few minutes to share, so I will move quickly and leave it to questions if there's anything that's unclear. Firstly, I focused on the what. What is it that we need to be including in the plan, in our vision at this point? And the 4 points that struck me. The first is around the principle of unity. We know this is the time of group work and group consciousness, and that seems to be really a very strong focus for taking the work forward for humanity and for the wider cosmos at this time. So I would say the first thing is, how do we build greater unity, really embrace that and live that in a way that is real, both within our spiritual and esoteric groups, but also wider than that across humanity. The second point that struck me quite deeply was the principle of beauty and the quality of beauty, and how we relate to and see our world and our life and our beingness through the lens of true beauty, which is a heart quality and a heart energy, and where we are able to combine the inner and outer worlds in a beautiful synthesis, a sense of the deep quality that sits within all creation, and still linked with beauty, to really recognize our collective power as creative beings, and to focus that in beautifying our world as distinct from destroying or damaging it. The third area that struck me most was the subject of value and making sacred. And for me, there were a number of things under this heading. The idea of sacred economics is something that's very dear to my heart, and but that needs expanding or perhaps describing in a number of ways. And so for me, the principle of valuing time, valuing money, valuing each other, valuing life, valuing work, these are all parts of making sacred those things that are part of living on this planet at this time and in harmony with the planet. So being able to make sacred and value many of those things that we have distorted or take for granted. And the fourth what is to be able to materialize projects that are already out there and which are very practical, very race 7 in nature, and are either bubbling below the surface or are as yet still hidden because it's not the right time for them to emerge. And I think the plan needs to be really vigilant in looking for ways in which we as light workers and servers can really start to bring those projects out into practical living force in our world and in our lives. So those are my 4 areas of what. In terms of our role and what do we as servers and participants in the plan need to do, here I have 5 key points that strike me. One is to really continue to work on our ability to handle, as in to allow to work through us and prepare our vehicle appropriately to handle and focus the energies that are inpouring at this time. As Alexander said, this is such, not just right now in this full moon, but this period of time leading up to 2025 is so potent, and we have a responsibility to make ourselves able to really work with that energy individually and collectively as part of the group focus. The second area is our quality as leaders. As esotericists, we could be guilty of focusing perhaps solely sometimes on the inner work, and that is clearly vital and must form part of our focus. But for me, it's a combination of that inner work and our ability to take that out into the world and show our leadership. That might be a word here, it might be a smile, it might be something bigger by way of action, it may be a major project that we're involved in, or on a world global scale, depending on who we are. But to be able to lead the new way of living and being is a key part of our leadership role. The third thing for us as world servers is to make real the laws and principles. Right human relations, goodwill, love, our ability to show love, to receive love, to live love. Making those principles not just, again, an abstract, but a lived practice seems to me to be even more vital at this time. The fourth area is the continued work on our own journey. As we know, each area that we tackle, that we understand about ourselves, that we accept about our frailties as humans, and embrace and love, all of that allows us to deal with our own dweller. And as we do that, we deal with humanities at the same time. So that, of course, continues to be a key part of our role ongoing. And the fifth area in terms of our role is diversification, our ability to move beyond a fixed worldview, to embrace others of other faith, of other philosophies, to embrace difference and to include and work with younger people who are seeing the world in a very conscious way quite often, and in a very different way perhaps to some of us on the call. And finally, because I'm conscious of time, what steps do I think we need to be taking? 4 things here that I would like to share. The first I've put in quotes, which is live, love. Live, love. If that becomes our mantra, to be able to live our lives from a place of love, I think that will be a substantive step. The second is to really get better at our group and collective work, subjectively as well as in a practical sense. The third is to get involved, be in the process. We have to anchor our energetic work in the practical world and help the transformation that is underway. And the fourth thing is work with the rhythms and cycles, get familiar with the astrological energies and presence and strengths, and really understand the complete cosmology that supports us at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. I suggest we have a few seconds of silence just to meditate on that. Thank you. Martin, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alexander. Well, I very much agree with what Lorraine has shared. I am quite on the same line. I believe that the center is, of course, a shift in consciousness, and there is a very large cosmic solar framework that is changing, and humanity is changing in adaptation with that. So it's part of a greater purpose. But in particular, humanity, I think that a very important step ahead could be deepen our sharing as one humanity. And in order to do that, we need to reinforce, to strengthen the qualities of the heart, not just in theoretical terms, but also in practical terms. That's why the call for more practical, let's say, work or focusing on practical issues, I think it's quite important, quite relevant at this time. I think that humanity nowadays on the planet, many people are still suffering, and they are suffering for lack of spiritual energy in all its forms, not just at the level of mental light, but, so as to have a clear vision of what is to come, but also emotionally, but also physically, maybe lacking food, with problems of hunger, problems of not having adequate household or healthcare. So this may be not so-called spiritual issues in some sense, but at the same time, in our time, in what we live, I think it is increasingly necessary to focus on that, to have that into account, and probably the balance between of course, inner worlds and outer worlds need to be covered at that. We have some immediate steps. Some other colleagues shared that also during the meeting, and the core was probably what is quite similar to a plan for humanity that could be called the Development Sustainable Goals. They establish very clear goals in several fields with a whole agenda that more or less coincides with this with 2025 because it's 5 years ahead. And of course, humanity will benefit if all the countries implement these goals, and what is behind that is just people, just us, to collaborate as we can. So it's up to us if we support this process. And the esoteric community, the spiritual community, of course, has like a different, let's say, potential. That is the connection with the inner world, the capacity to meditate, to attract spiritual energy in a subtle way, and maybe to radiate that energy into the world. So it is very important at the same time to keep the inner connection, not to get into the glamour of course of action, but at the same time to open ourselves to new dimensions, to leave our zone of comfort as disciples, as spiritual seekers, so that we can actually listen to the demand of humanity. That is strong in Europe, this is strong in North America, but it is also perhaps with a different quality in other parts of the world, in Latin America, in Asia, in Africa. So we as global workers, I think we need to be aware of these other situations, and it demands a very sometimes practical work. Some people mentioned the possibility of trying to take some practical steps, or many small projects, or to feed into that energy of action on the etheric plane, so that the energy of the heart can be put into action. And in that way, maybe we can have the image of the Christ reaching towards humanity through us, to have to be like a channel, like the hands of what is needed. So that is for the work of a very seventh ray work that is to come. Well, we have the plan, the ideas, and the need of deepen our sharing as humanity and trying to reach a state of unity that has been just mentioned. Well, apart from that, of course, I agree with what has been just said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll keep a few moments of silence. And I invite Anastasia to share her impressions.
Hello, thank you, Alexander. It's a big pleasure to be with all of you, and I would like to share expressions from the speakers that I was very honored to listen. I was very, very pleased to hear about beauty in life. I believe when we put the beauty into the life, we make a choice, because if you do something beautiful, you create sense, you create quality, and you change the life of people. Also, I very like the thought that we should know about the cost of many, many things. Good things, bad things, it doesn't really matter, because most of the time we don't calculate it, and we don't have enough energy or time, and our plan's not strong enough to go to the physical plan. Also, I believe we should do in our lives what we truly love and what makes real sense for us, and be brave enough and take responsibility to actually do this in our life, not only think about it, dream about it, and plan it, but be practical and put our actions into life. So the people around us can look at us and see the difference and see that it can be done, and we will make an example how to live with love, with beauty, and with a sense, and with spiritual energies that we bring to the practical actions. I strongly agree about that we should work with economics, and we should understand what happened in the world and put the high energies to the economic that we will, because humanity has a huge debt, and it's for me it's strange, because if everybody have a debt to each other, we should just forgive it and go further. But right now the economic in the world is suffering from the debts and a lot of I believe a lot of false, a lot of untrue actions, and I believe our work to improve it in some way with our meditations, love, light, and power. And to do all this work, we should be clear channels to the energy. So we should make clear, make our thoughts clear, don't do harm, and all other good actions to be good people. And I very like that we should smile to small stones, that this is a key to everyday life. You put all sense, all love, and all meaning to every small stone you meet on your way. Thank you very much for your attention, and I believe in together we will make a difference in this world.
Thank you. Let's spend a minute in silence, meditating on all these ideas that's been shared. one of the key thoughts that's been shared through impressions coming from many speakers Sunday and today was the thought of notion of responsibility to manifest the plan. Preparing this webinar and actually our next webinar, which is going to be on next week for solstice, we talked with Antonella about the ideas of manifestation of the plan, exactly this idea. And we realized that even though originally this part of the presentation was planned for the solstice webinar, we thought that it would be very appropriate to, if Antonella would share it today, because it relates to the question, how do we find our part in the plan? What is our quality and what is our function? And so I asked Antonella to share this part of your presentation today instead of the solstice, that we could together take into our full moon meditation. So Antonella, the floor is yours, and please let me know if when you want me to pass the screen sharing function to you.
Yes, also now, it's okay. If we share the screen, we can work looking. So what do we see?
We see your screen now, and this, your light with the title of today's webinar.
Okay. So good evening, and thank you to the 2025 initiative for this wonderful gathering from all the world. We can really say that we are representing the new group of world servers, and we are, as hierarchy does, so to speak, in our little measure, we are trying to think what humanity needs to advance in unity, in beauty, in sacredness, in full responsibility. And so Alexander in particular asked me to present this hypothesis, we could say it, and it's a vision also, and it's and a hypothesis of structure, a hypothesis of cooperative coordination towards the same goal, which is a formula that Elena Röhrig uses to define hierarchy. So this coordinated cooperation towards a unique goal. That's exactly what we want, we work for, and we are born for. So in Italy, we think we have been working since the late 80s around this hypothesis motivated from the science of harmonics of Pythagoras, that a great disciple, a great Italian disciple called Enzio Savoini tried to unite with the science of 7 rays of the Tibetan, and also with Agni Yoga by Elena Röhrig. So the result was this hypothesis that I'm going to present quickly tonight, and then wider on the more widely on the solstice webinar. So we think that with my group and also the current focus we are working on, which is a hypothesis of a planetary order that is base of organizing, base of any order is unity. And to reach unity we need the same order, the same hierarchical principle that the teachings are irradiating in all the pages of the sacred blue books of the Agni Yoga or any other teaching that aims to help the evolution of humanity and our planet and beyond. So we think that in Italy we are working around a third ray focus and mission for all of us. That is exactly what decay indicates in the letters of occult meditation when it attributes to Italy and France the third ray function for a future advanced esoteric school. And so the fact to unite the Pythagorean laws and the study of the sound with the way of working in a group and also relating to the human group, to the whole humanity. So this way of working, way of thinking also has led us to do a hypothesis of a plan, of a planetary plan. So Enzio Savorini in the 90s intuitive, by intuition, wrote this book called The Distant Goals, with 49 goals. Here I put this. And 7 main goals inferred by the teaching, from the teaching, sorry. So here in the first ray, the restoration of the mysteries. We know that Moria, the Master Moria in particular, is taking care of this task. Second goal, main goal, return of the Christ. Third goal, third possible goal, group initiation, so also human group initiation, of course. Fourth goal, imitation of hierarchy. Fifth goal, new culture and new civilization. Sixth goal, new world religion. And seventh order, restoration of the plan on earth. So as we, for all the students of these teachings, we know that these are just what decay, not saying expressly, but we can infer from all his books that those 7 main centers, we can call them, as if a plan, considering a plan as a living being or as a living project. So as any living being has 7 centers to saturate space with consciousness, the same is and could be for our thought form, for our vision of this plan. So, and this plan was thought valuable or possible to be accomplished for the first decade of Aquarius. So it means till the 2750, more or less. And if we read this quote from esoteric astrology, that the decade, the first decade, where we can say that we are entering, or we have put already a foot in, is ruled by Saturn. And the word of this goal of the decade is opportunity. So humanity and the new group of world servers, which is the Ajna center of the planet, has to take the opportunity, has to assume responsibility for this opportunity that Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is precipitating to Earth. And it's evident that we are in a total karmic balancing. Let's see quickly. Yes, and I would mention also only this. So we are now on the 14th, which is the full moon of Sagittarius, which is the Archer. And it's beautiful to think that we are ascending towards the solstice, and we are trying to envision what's the best way to help humanity, to help all of us to save this planet, to save the prisoners of the planet, as decay indicates. So the period before the solstice, we exactly see what the alignments in the heavens is, which is the Earth is just pointing to the galactic center through the sun. And this happens on 18th and 19th of December, just between now, the full moon of Sagittarius, the vision of the goals, and the solstice, which is the discontinuous or initiatory moment when the cycles decide on Earth what will be the whole year development. So the instantaneous, the instant of the solstice is just the moment in the heavens that decides what will be the whole development of the year. And this alignment between Earth, Sun, and galactic center, which is just happening in these years, and this is an indication, a clear indication of a cosmic opportunity, not only for the age of Aquarius. It's a cosmic opportunity for the Earth, which happens each 6,000 years. 6,000, yes. For the precession of the equinoxes. So we are really we know from all the teachings and indication in the world that these times are unique. So we have to take this opportunity. On the solstice, we will see the heavens geocentric and heliocentric of the solstice to understand what are the energies available to develop our action in a wise and in a wise way. So let's jump to this hypothesis of the plan. Here it is. So in the diagonal, we have the 7 main centers of this hypothesis of our formulation, first formulation, possible formulation, of course, by human heart and mind, of the hierarchical plan. So restoration of the mystery is not humanity that has to do it. It's exactly the executors of the plan, which are a part of hierarchy. Return of the Christ again. It's hierarchy that has to let it be possible. Group initiation, it's hierarchy, but it's already in field of humanity. And then imitation of hierarchy is from humanity towards hierarchy. And going down, we see that the attribute goals, we can call them, are more close to also the responsibility of humanity, new culture and new civilization, mainly new world religion and the restoration of the planet. So we see that these 7 main centers have been exploded or declined in 42 minor centers, which are a possibility to call these harmonic intervals. And we have in this website, the Planetary System, and here on the YouTube channel of TPS, the Planetary System, we have some videos also in English to show this working as a 7-ray structure or 7-ray ashram. And so we have developed this science of harmonics also according to the quality of each ray, and try to embody and express through our responsibility. So each member chooses one of these intervals and tries to embody it as if, of course, as if we were able to do that. But the effort, we know that the unity of efforts makes miracles or makes the higher laws to precipitate on Earth. And so how much time do I have, Alexander? Or it's finished? No?
Antonella, you're asking me the question that I never know the answer. Well,
no. Just tell me how much time.
Originally, I thought it would be good to have some feedback from the audience with more impressions or questions. But if I can just ask you if you could tell us about this idea of embodiment of certain aspect of the plan, as if we were part of that plan. So if you can just give that piece of information, and we could continue exploring this topic in a week's time during the Solstice webinar.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the answer is could be very long, but we could just focus some of the possibility. So the fact that there is this book that presents each interval or goal is a help to understand it. So we have this book not totally translated, but it's planned to do that. Anyway, we have a compendium of these goals, so it illustrates very well what means to embody a goal. But what comes to me to my heart and mind is the fact that to be in a group has not to be a casuality. Has to do with order, has to do with the laws of sound and light that build the manifestation. So if, for example, I'm the goal 2-4, space, study of infinite reality, symmetries, and I dedicate my meditation, my heart, my action to incarnate space, to be these symmetries, to recognize them. And I try with the 4-2, which is the symmetrical imitation of Christ, for example, and I try to understand that space is the universal Christ, and Christ is the local, so to speak, space, which is love and so on. But it's just an example. But other ways to embody this cause is the fact to think, feel, and be a center of a structure, of an order, of a unique body, a unique entity, which is working for the same goal, for the same purpose. So we know that, for example, with an analogy, if the rays of a light are orientated in the same direction, we have a laser. And the power of laser to heal or to destroy what has to be destroyed is so different from a simple light. So to the question that the inquiry of 2025 initiative, to those questions that how can we help the accomplishment of the goals of humanity. So we could think that the new group of world servers has to probably become more and more conscious to be a unity. We know and are and love each other already. It's out of doubt. The will to good and love move our thinking, our steps, our action, our lives, total lives. But this is a hypothesis that this third ray could offer for take this opportunity to build a system, and system means the right disposition in space. These formulas, for example, which Decay says that is the third ray to activate what is an idea, what is a principle. So if we think that we can, for example, find 49 formulas that each day we can impress, assert as a fact. So using the first ray power, if each of us chooses one of these 49 formulas that we have already tried to formulate, thinking of the preparation to the 2025, and inferring from these 7 and 42 positions or vortexes or energies or intervals or ordered energies. So if we have this formula, or also our attention or our love, our will, oriented in the same direction, which is the 2025, which is to help the externalization of the hierarchy, or at least the decision of what to do with this humanity by hierarchy. So to help this goal, to help this common goal, we could use the power of sound and the power of formulas, ideal formulas, just to saturate space with a common action. And I don't have here the formulas because it's tonight was only a preparation for. But for example, I want to give an example. We have been living, for example, since 1987 when we unified the stars that at that time we were working as a 7-ray stars, where one of each member chose one of the 7 rays and tried to incarnate it. in 1987, these 7 stars united to build this system of 7 stars. It doesn't mean that we are 49. We can have many people on one goal and one person in another, just as the places in hierarchy are not all taken, and it depends from energies and conditions, different conditions. So we have been living since 1987, I was to say, also using a cycle of 49 years where all the members of this prototype of this planetary order, which we are mainly in Italy, but we have also a star in Sweden and 2 stars or more in France and some people in Australia and so on. So this up to now. So what I want to clarify is that we are not looking for people. We are just sowing in the space this prototype of a hierarchical humanity, just as if, as I said, but and also the formulas are only options. It's not that they are not valuable. They are totally the fruit of intuition and also scientific reflection. Scientific, I mean philosophically reflection. But it's just the fact to try to incarnate in a group or in an order each year ago is just another example to embody this matrix, which is another wonderful name for this 7+7. This is an integrated system of energies, of sounds, of light, and is a living matrix. The Pythagoras used to call this table lambdoma, from the letter lambda or L from the Greek alphabet. So, which is in Plato, for example, there are just the genesis of the numbers with the 2 series and with the 3 series, which is another lambdoma, from the 1 to the many. So these are some examples to embody. And just the last thing, we see, for example, that from 1987 we have lived this 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7. And we are now living in we are now entering with the solstice, the year 5-3, which exactly is saying sowing of the principle of the new culture. So after having meditated and worked on the mysteries as the guiding center of culture, after having tried to magnetize the space with this idea, living idea of an institute, that humanity is an institute of the heart, has to be an institute of the heart. Now, the 3rd year of the 5th septennium will be dedicated to the sowing of the principle of the new culture. So this plan, and we will go back on the 21st, this plan of 49 years is perfectly aligned with the plan of 49 years of Charles of six initiation. They use, as the case says in raising and initiations, they use a 49 cycle to take decision for humanity. And the first cycle that the case refers has begun in 1903, the second 1952, and the last that we are living was begun in 2001. So in 2025, their cycle will be exactly at the center of this matrix. which is the year 4-4, the center of the centers. In the current formulation of the plan we have been living and trying to embody will be the year 6-4. So we have just 2 septennium of shift, but the 7 is just ruling both cycles. And well, it really happened by chance, we could say, or by a higher will or an inner will, we don't know. But just to say that this first attempt to formulate the plan has nothing to do with presumption, as is totally what the teachings say. You have to precipitate the potencies. You have to try to activate what is potential in the world of ideas. And so the fact that we have discovered after that this plan is just aligned in parallel with one of the choices told us just, well, maybe it's a good thing to try to be this, to take this opportunity to be responsible for the leadership of the new group of world service. That's so that's an option. I would stop because it's much time that I'm speaking, but we could continue on the 21st for people interested in this hypothesis. Just the fact that there are these 49 formulas which are a sort of, I assert the fact, a meditation. They are the 49 parts of sounds of one sound, which is a formula that we have been using almost 200 people in Italy, potentially, with different involvement, of course, and engagement. But this formula is the planetary order, which is us trying to incarnate the hierarchical mission. The planetary order asserts the plan of light and love on Earth. This is the formula. So these 49 formulas could help to power our action to help humanity to go into the new culture and civilization. Thank you to everybody. Thanks to us for the beautiful meeting.
We will continue this sharing. We really appreciate you sharing with us this, and we're looking forward for the next week webinar. And I think we will leave the questions about that, which I'm sure there could be many, to be answered at that webinar. And today I suggest we go into meditation. I think it's a perfect lead for us to focus together under the Sagittarius energy on the plan and notion of own responsibility, collective responsibility, group responsibility, and individual responsibility to manifest certain part of the plan that we can relate to. And with this, I suggest we go into meditation, and I invite Lorraine to lead us to meditation.
Thank you, Alexander. So let's prepare for meditation. Let us bring ourselves into the quiet, centered space. And to give ourselves the openness of heart and soul to register all that we've heard, all that we've sensed, as we enter now together as one group into the Sagittarius full moon meditation. He who faces the light and stands within its radiance is blinded to the issues of the world of men. He passes on the lighted way to the great center of absorption. But he who feels the urge to pass that way, yet loves his brother on the darkened path, revolves upon the pedestal of light and turns the other way. He faces towards the dark, and then the 7 points of light within himself transmit the outward streaming light. And lo, the face of those upon the darkened way receives that light. For them, the way is not so dark. Behind the warriors, twixt the light and the dark, blazes the light of hierarchy. Letting in the light. Group fusion. We affirm the fact of group fusion and integration within the heart center of the new group of world servers, mediating between hierarchy and humanity. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Alignment. We project a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy of the planet, the planetary heart, the great ashram of Sanat Kumara, and towards the Christ at the heart of hierarchy. extend the line of light towards Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Higher interlude. Hold the contemplative mind open to the extraplanetary energies streaming into Shambhala and radiated through hierarchy. Using the creative imagination, endeavor to see the three planetary centers: Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, gradually coming into alignment and into play. Meditation. Let us reflect on the seed thought for Sagittarius. I see the goal, I reach that goal, and then I see another. I see the goal, I reach that goal, and then I see another. Precipitation. Using the creative imagination, visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring throughout the planet and becoming anchored on Earth in prepared physical plane centers through which the plan can manifest. Use the sixfold progression of divine love as the sequence of energy precipitation. Shambhala, hierarchy, the Christ, the new group of world servers, men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world, physical centers of distribution. Lower interlude. Refocus the consciousness as a group within the periphery of the great ashram. Together sound the affirmation. In the center of all love I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the Divine Self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize the downpouring spiritual inflow released from Shambhala through the hierarchy and streaming into humanity through the prepared channel. Consider how these inpouring energies are establishing the pathway of light for the coming world teacher, the Christ. As the great invocation is sounded, visualize the outpouring of light and love and power from the spiritual hierarchy through the 5 planetary inlets: London, Darjeeling, New York, Geneva, Tokyo, irradiating the consciousness of the whole human race. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. from the center, which we call the race of men. Let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lorraine, for leading us in this beautiful meditation. And once again, thank you, everyone who participated in this collective effort of gathering impressions about the plan as it relates to our work. The 2025 Initiative Coordination Group will work with all the impressions that's been shared through online forum or through live sharing or through email to distill it and to express it in the year plan for the next astrological year cycle. Thank you. And thank you to today's presenters for sharing and focalizing our group process. We invite you to join our next webinars. As we mentioned before, the next webinar will be on December 21st, Solstice Festival webinar, focalized by Antonella Nobilil. It will be the second part, continuing the presentation started during the June solstice. It's going to be the second part of this presentation. The webinar following that will be on January 1st. We'll gather together the first day of the new year to continue the cyclic work using the cycles of the new moons to focus our collective intention on the manifestation of the United Nations Sustainable Goals and strengthening the thought forms of SDGs. And this Capricorn new moon, we will focus on the SDG 16, on peace, justice, and strong institutions. And following that, on January 9th, we invite you to join the Capricorn Solar Festival webinar with Hekal group from Jerusalem. And it's going to be their third consecutive Capricorn full moon that they will focalize and sharing about their work and thoughts. And this year the topic of the presentation and meditation will be building bridges of understanding, reflecting on the work they do in Jerusalem. Thank you very much, and the recording of this webinar will be available on 2025initiative.org shortly, along with the recording of the planning meeting of the full moon webinars presenters of the 2025 initiative that happened on December 11th. Thank you, and let's end our work today sounding Gayatri. O thou who gives the sustenance to the universe, from whom all things proceed, to whom all things return, unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet.